Okay, let's. It's time for another lecture. Okay, integration and a few other things. Integration and a few other things. At this point in time in the course, you you have most of the parts, and we're going to talk today about putting them all together and tying them in a nice little bow, one can say. A business opportunity for us. What is a business opportunity for us? Meaning, for the course, for the final assignment, the full-blown business opportunity, or even for us as starting or budding entrepreneurs, what is a business opportunity for us? Because not all business opportunities are appropriate for us. Okay. For example, um, out of the universe of opportunities, there are some opportunities that are for private businesses, and there are some opportunities that are for public and governmental agencies. Uh, Oftentimes, I get business opportunities from students who want to, you know, build some international um, infrastructure system. Hmm? Now, that's just not appropriate for us. Okay, it might be appropriate for us to bring that up with our local officials, our national representatives, our government elected officials, but for us, a small team of students, that's really not appropriate. Okay, so a good portion of business opportunities are not really business opportunities for small private individuals. Hmm? So then we have a smaller universe of private potential business opportunities. Now, some of those opportunities, again, are not appropriate for us because they're more appropriate for large firms. Hmm? A good portion of business opportunities are appropriate for large firms. So that reduces the universe of potential opportunities even further. And then there are opportunities for existing firms and opportunities for startups. There may be opportunities that are just better suited, better positioned for existing firms. So that reduces the universe again for us. So only a fraction of the potential business opportunities out there are really appropriated for us in terms of our startup. And that's a good thing, in fact, because that narrows our focus. It narrows our focus. One thing that I want to say with respect to the full-blown business opportunity assignment is I want to narrow this a little bit further in a couple of different ways. First, we're looking at potential business opportunities that you and your team, which you again can recruit additional people in your planning, can do in 18 months or 2 years. Okay, we're not talking about 5 years, 10 years in the future, or fantasy sort of projects, as I call it. These are projects that you can actually do and start today. Secondly, consulting projects. I don't want any consulting projects presented unless you have developed some proprietary technology, some proprietary tools that you're going to actually develop and sell. Consulting firms are not appropriate. It's just too easy. You can say you're going to be a consultant in anything, and that's not really appropriate. That's not really what we're doing. So again, the point is that out of the universe of potential business opportunities, there's a limited scope for us as students, as a small group, as some inexperienced entrepreneurs focusing on startup. Common sense versus business sense. Okay. Some people have said there's nothing so uncommon as common sense, uh, which is obviously ironic. Um, you would think that most people have common sense, and I'm not sure, in my experience, that most people actually do have common sense. But be that as it may, business sense is a little bit different. Business sense is kind of a general understanding of what business is about. This has been a constant challenge for me in teaching entrepreneurship, because again, entrepreneurship is really advanced business, and people come in assuming that they can do it without any fundamental understanding of what business is about. Now, you guys are the test for my solution to this, and that is the Business Basic lectures and the Business Basic exam. Okay, so you guys should have an understanding of what business is, an understanding of the market, the understanding of competition. You know, what is profit? The understanding of selling something to someone for a price that's higher than it costs you to produce, which is fundamental. But also at the root of it, there's some aspects of common sense as well as some aspects of business sense that you really can't teach very well. It's very we can go back to the course material, implicit. It's very latent, so it's very difficult to transfer. It's just something that you have a sense or a feel for business. And I'm not sure if that can be developed over time by just a sheer will. Okay, but it probably can be. If you really want it and you immerse yourself and you read and you study, you will pick up what you need to understand what business is about. And again, I hope these lectures have helped you gather some basic fundamentals on which you can build your future understanding of entrepreneurship. Evaluating an idea kernel. You know, how should you evaluate your own idea kernels? How do you evaluate your peers' idea kernels? How do you evaluate idea kernels that you may read about on a daily basis? Well, here are some 10 things that may help you in your attempt to evaluate a business opportunity. Okay. Is the product or service clear? Oftentimes, in idea kernels that I'm looking at, potential business opportunities that I'm looking at, people jump into what they think is the most important things, and they skip over the basic thing. Like, what is it? What is the product or service? So make sure that's clear. 2, is the offering something different than what is already out there? Now, this has to do in large part with differentiation. Now, as we know, we would prefer to have a differentiated product, because then we have some pricing power that affects our ability to maintain our margins and grow our margins. We also know it's not impossible to enter an industry and sell an undifferentiated product if we're okay with lower margins. Thirdly, we also know that we can come out with a product that's not very differentiated in terms of what the product does and features and benefits, but we can tweak the business model. Third, is the problem clear? What problem is your product or service solving? Just putting a product or service out there because you think it's nice and you think it's cool, don't really expect a lot of people to buy that. We produce products and services that solve problems. Who are you going to sell it to? Is the target market clear? Now, for us, this is really important. We want the target market to be crystal clear. I've given you a number of tools to help you define who the customer is and who the customer isn't. So I expect the target market to be very clear. Does the solution, the product or service, as we know, match the problem? This is actually kind of funny. Sometimes I see people who define problems, and they also create products or services, but the products and services actually don't match the problem. Make sure they match. The story. We haven't talked much about the story, but your business model and your business concept should make a really good story. People like stories. The better your story is, the more likely you're going to be able to sell it to partners, employers, investors. The better able you're going to sell your product and service itself to your customers. Is the story convincing? Is it doable? Can you actually do it? I get sometimes, well, we're going to set up a mining company and we're going to mine asteroids in space. Now, that potentially is doable. The best minds in the world are not capable of doing it now. So the fact that a bunch of students think that they can do it in the next 18, 24 months is fantasy. Okay. Make sure your opportunity is doable. Is the kernel and the concept credible? Does it seem believable? Now this is a little bit trickier, because what we as entrepreneurs think might be possible doesn't necessarily mean other people are going to believe us. But you need to be able to demonstrate that you can actually pull this off in terms of your research, whether it's a technical innovation, your technical research, or just your research of the market or research of the business model. 9, is there value creating potential? Are we creating value for customers? Do the numbers work so we create value for us, the owners? Okay, and value for society will come if we can do those two things. And finally, will the idea succeed? Okay. Now, usually when you evaluate a kernel, you have a sense of this, but this really doesn't come into the evaluation of the kernel per se itself. But it's up to you. We don't know if it's going to succeed. I can have my guess, and based upon what you present, I can make a pretty good estimation. But I really don't know. It's an empirical question. So it's up to you to provide the evidence, I dare say the proof, that this is going to work. So that is, in a sense, how you evaluate an idea kernel. So let's take a quick break here, and I'll be back with the next portion in a second.